Doris Collins had always considered herself the friendly sort. At 75, she prided herself on being active in her community, a staple at Sunday church services, bingo nights, and the Tuesday morning book club at the library. Her phone never stopped buzzing. Lunches here, potlucks there, a quick stop by her daughter's house to check in, or visiting her neighbor who had just had hip surgery. She believed it kept her young. After all, everyone said staying social was key to healthy aging. But then came the fatigue. At first, it was subtle. She would come home after an afternoon out and fall asleep on the couch without realizing. Then her knees began to ache more. Her mind felt foggier. She was short-tempered, forgetful. One morning, she stood in her kitchen and couldn't remember where she'd put her teacup. Just age, her friends said. We all get a little slower. But Doris wasn't so sure. Something inside her whispered that she was doing too much. She brushed the thought aside. After all, she wasn't sick, just tired. But the real turning point came on a Friday in mid-October, after she spent the day driving to visit her cousin Edna, who lived an hour away. It was meant to be a short visit, tea, a chat, and home by dusk, but it turned into a 5-hour stay, with Edna insisting Doris help move a few things around the house and stay for dinner. By the time Doris got home, her shoulders were sore, her eyes blurry, and she barely made it to bed. The next morning, she didn't wake until nearly noon, and when she did, her heart was racing, her mouth dry. She struggled to stand without feeling dizzy. Her daughter, Lacey, stopped by unannounced and was alarmed to see Doris pale and shivering under a blanket. "You look exhausted," she said. "When was the last time you stayed home and rested?" Doris blinked at her. "I'm always doing something for someone." "That's exactly the problem," Lacey replied. "You've forgotten to do something for you." Later that week, Lacey drove her to see Dr. Bennett, her longtime physician. Doris expected the usual: blood pressure, a few questions about diet, maybe a vitamin D lecture. But what she got was a conversation that changed how she thought about everything. "You're not sick," Dr. Bennett said gently, "but you are overextended." He leaned forward. "Do you know what we're seeing more and more in seniors? Social fatigue. Not loneliness. Over-socializing. Too much visiting, too much responsibility, too much emotional weight. The body doesn't recover from social exertion the way it used to. And for people like you, who always say yes, that builds up until your system can't keep up." Doris sat in stunned silence. She'd spent years thinking that staying busy was the only way to keep aging at bay. But now it made sense. Every visit she made required effort: physical, mental, emotional. Hosting dinner? That meant shopping, cooking, cleaning. Stopping by a friend's? That meant listening, empathizing, sometimes absorbing their sadness or stress. Even a cheerful afternoon could leave her drained for days. Visiting too often may seem harmless, Dr. Bennett continued, but the stress it puts on the nervous system, especially if you're suppressing your own needs to be there for others, adds up. It impacts your sleep, your digestion, even your immune system. You're not just tired, you're depleted. That word stuck with her, depleted. He gave her a recommendation she hadn't expected. Take a full week off. No visitors, no driving to anyone's house. Stay home, rest, read, nap, sit in the sun. You need to stop pouring from an empty cup. It was harder than she thought. The first day, Doris kept reaching for her phone, feeling guilty for not checking in with her friends or accepting a neighbor's lunch invitation. By day 3, something shifted. She woke up without the fog. She cooked for herself without rushing. She sat in the backyard with a blanket and watched the squirrels climb the trees. By the end of the week, she felt something she hadn't in months: clarity. She began to look back at her calendar and counted the number of visits, events, and appointments she had packed into the last 2 months. Nearly 40. 40 separate engagements, each one small, but together an avalanche. The next time someone called with an invitation, she hesitated before responding. "I'd love to," she said gently, "but I'm taking some time to rest this week." Some friends didn't understand. A few even took it personally, but most respected it. A few even admitted they felt the same way and were relieved to hear someone say it aloud. Over the next few weeks, Doris created a new rhythm: 2 outings a week, maximum. 1 weekend to herself every month. She started writing again, something she hadn't done in years. She baked bread. She listened to music. She realized how much energy she'd given away without thinking, not out of obligation, but out of habit, and how dangerous that could be. A friend from church, Margaret, ended up in the hospital from exhaustion and high blood pressure after a month of nonstop family visits. I thought I was just being a good grandmother, she told Doris, but I didn't know I was pushing my body too far. Doris nodded. We've been taught to always show up, but no one taught us how to say, not today, I need rest. She still visited people, of course, still shared meals, told stories, held hands during hard moments, but it was different now, more intentional, less automatic. She chose rest, not out of laziness, but out of wisdom. One Sunday afternoon, as she sat by her window with a cup of tea, watching a soft drizzle fall over the garden, she smiled. The phone buzzed again, another invitation. She silenced it. Sometimes loving others meant stepping back, and sometimes the most radical act of care was learning to stay home.